Hi folks, Crystal Cox here, broker owner of Goddess Realty, and I want to talk to you folks today about what is a real estate consultant. Now, many folks have asked me what's the difference between real estate consulting and traditional real estate. What is a real estate consultant? How can that save them money? How can it help them, so that they can stay out of legal trouble in their real estate transaction? What are the benefits? Well, real estate consulting has been around for a long time, and it's really never taken off, and that's because of, well, greed in a way, because it's better to have 6 or 8% commission than an hourly rate. Now, I fought the Association of Realtors for years. I quit the Association of Realtors quite a few years ago because they do not protect the real estate consumer. Flat out do not protect the real estate consumer. And they force local real estate agents to join local boards in order to have access to forms and to MLSs and things like that, especially in Montana. Now, I own my own firm in Washington, which is called Goddess Realty. And here, they seem to be a bit more not antitrust violations. And you can join the MLS, and you don't have to join the Association of Realtors. And it seems to be a little bit more legally compliant, let's call it. Now, when I was in Montana, it seemed to be frowned upon. It was an actual realtor code that you can't interfere with a real estate transaction where the buyer has a buyer's agent and the seller has a seller's agent. Okay? Well, that's NAR code. Now, a lot of times realtors will tell you that that's the law. That's not the law. That's the National Association of Realtors Code of Ethics, which, even if they don't follow it, the National Association does not stand behind. I am a broker owner, and every time I would go with a complaint, about an agent or try to help my agents, I had 17 agents, and I was never heard. I quit the association because of pure lack of consumer protection and lies. And when the burst happened in real estate, they knew. Coldwell Banker in our area had told people that they would probably be gone in 5 years. They talked about, the National Association had their chief economist saying, buy, buy, buy. Well, they knew, there's a record of all of this. But they lobby. They spend, the association money is lobbying and forcing so that realtors have to be used. Okay, so they don't necessarily make all their money from the dues of the agents, right? So how is the Association of Realtors making money? The agent dues are paid to the associations, and every local association has their own management, right? So there's money spent there. So how does the association make money? Well, things like Realtor.com, magazines, MLS listings. You know how magazines and newspapers or television, let's say television has sitcoms or dramas or whatever, then they have paid advertisers. Okay? If sports events, they have paid advertisers. Newspapers have newspaper ads. Okay, well, the content that the National Association of Realtors uses is your real estate listings. Okay? Your town, area information, your house, the details about your house, photos about your house are all content. So they can sell ads to insurance companies, moving companies, home staging, furniture, everything in your life comes from you're the content, and they sell ads from that. Okay, so they want everybody to have to use a realtor. Well, I'm a real estate broker owner. I'm not a realtor. I don't even pronounce it right, and I get constant crap about that. Who cares, right? To me, it's all about standing up for the real estate consumer. And if you know anything about my case, the Crystal Cox case, that was me making a stand for the real estate consumer on a 1031 exchange company going bankrupt out of Bend, Oregon. Okay, when you're doing a 1031 and your money is with an exchange company and they go bankrupt, you, the regular real estate consumer, well, you get kind of screwed. Yeah. So I've made a stand for quite a while to be a real estate consumer. Now, in the last couple of years, I haven't done a whole lot of real estate because I've been working on my anti-corruption stuff, and I've just had a lot going on. And I have opened now to real estate consulting, and I do that for an hourly fee. I'm available to do that for trade in the local area. I'm in Townsend, Washington, and it's a little bit back on the real estate codes where they say realtor codes, you cannot interfere with agents' transactions, okay? So if the agents are selling you a house, right, they only get paid when you close a deal. How in the world can they be impartial? All right, they might be good people, they might be honest people, but they have to choose you over their own household's needs, especially in an economic starvation time, in real estate. I'm not saying that they're all going to lie, cheat, and steal, but at the same time, I firmly believe it is more protection for the consumer for you to have a third party. Okay? Now, a real estate consultant, and you can Google real estate consultant, they've been around for quite a while. It's just that a lot of agents aren't doing it because they get outcast. They have to work for other agents, and they can't really make a go of it because the broker owner won't do it. Most places are franchises now. I'm independent. I've always been independent in real estate. In Montana, I was 10 Lakes Realty, and here in Washington, I'm Goddess Realty. And it is, I think, moral and ethical and of your highest and best interest as a real estate consumer to have a third-party consultant. In other words, that you have a real estate broker who is advocating for you and telling you what they think about your contract and giving you advice based on an hourly wage, not based on whether you close the deal or not. How can their answers not possibly be jaded some way? I mean, come on. I mean, I'm sure there's agents out there. I'm not saying that all agents are dishonest. I'm just saying that it is consumer friendly to have a real estate consultant. And yeah, if you have a buyer's agent and a seller's agent in the deal, they're going to be really upset. They're going to say it's against the law. It's not against the law, folks. Okay? The law says that they can give buyer's rebates too, but that don't mean they do it. Okay? Those real estate contracts that you sign, they say they're standard. You can change anything on it. You're a party to the contract. You can cross anything out, change anything, and you do not have to do what that agent that went to school for a week tells you have to do, okay? That's not law. Now, they're going to scream and throw a fit and who knows what they're going to do. But even if you have a buyer's agent and a seller's agent, or even if your house is listed with someone, you can hire a real estate consultant such as me for an hourly wage to give you an opinion. Say like either how do I get out of this contract, or are they lying, or they've falsified a showing, or they did this or did that, or just get advice from a third party not based on commission. You have every legal right to do that. Okay, and if you're in a transaction, even if you're a for sale by owner, well, for sale by owners, of course, could use a real estate consultant. I would just give you advice on what I see, and not as an attorney, but as a real estate broker and a real estate consultant. And then you just close it at the title company. It's kind of the cheapest way for you to do it. The title company closes it anyway. Like I think here in Port Townsend, like Jefferson County Title, basically you can write up the contract yourself, or you can have an attorney write the contract up. You can use a standard contract. You can put whatever you want in the contract, right? It is between the buyer and the seller, okay, what you guys want to do. Now, a real estate consultant, I've owned my own real estate company for 13, 14 years now, and I can advise you on what might be of your best interest. And of course, you might want to check with a real estate lawyer, but you can write the contract up yourself and close it at the title company. But if you just want, a few hours of a real estate broker saying, well, it could sit down with the buyer and sit down with the seller in separate rooms and say, you might want to do this to protect yourself. You might want to do this to protect yourself, and you can add these things to the contract and cross them out and whatever. Okay, because you're both parties to the contract. But as a real estate broker, I can consult you on these things. So, I heard someone complaining the other day about, realtors are making them make their houses generic. Now, your life, I don't believe that you should. Your quality of life is the most important thing, okay? If your house takes a day, a month, a year, years to sell, you put everything in storage, and you're not living your life because it needs to look, they need to be able to see how they could live in it. I don't necessarily agree with that. I think real people look at homes as real homes. I mean, dirt, there's certain filth things, there's certain maintenance things that might scare people, and there's mold issues in there. Even if you want me to walk through a house and give you my opinion, I mean, like I said, I've owned my own company for 14 years. Well, 14 years. And before that, I was an agent for a year, 1 to 2 years before I got my own broker's license. I've been licensed in several states, several MLSs I was part of. I'm very experienced. I'm not a home inspector, but I do my own inspections. I always recommend people get a home inspection, but not because I think they have value. I'm sorry. Okay, maybe they do. But in my experience where I'm from, the home inspectors are like, well, what do you need to come in? Even the appraisers, they call me up. They're like, what do you need to come in at? Well, how about what it's worth, okay? So they look to the broker to tell them what to do, and they just want to get the deal closed, okay? So I myself, if I'm buying a property, I take some rebar, I get on my dungarees, otherwise known as jeans, and crawl around, poke things, looking for problems. I can go to, which I've suggested in other videos that I've done, happy hour or the local hairdresser or barber, and just kind of get a feel for the rumor mill on the property. Go to the property at different times of night so that you know what's really going on there. Maybe even go and knock on the neighbor's door and say, tell them who you are, maybe a little bit about yourself or your religion or whatever. There's nothing that ruins your life faster than living next to a neighbor that doesn't like you before you even move in. But you've closed on the deal and there's nothing you can do, right? Which happens quite often when you move next door to cattle ranchers because they have water rights wars. I've had this happen in several states. They say whiskey is for drinking and water's for fighting over. Well, boy, is it true. And a lot of them good old boys, they don't think, especially if you're a woman, that you should be having water rights and you should be living next to their cattle ranch. It's just a huge fight and a huge war. And so you want to know what you're getting into before you buy them. And if you can't do that, you can hire a real estate consultant. Which, me, I also love to do deep investigations, and I like to really do forensics real estate. I've done reports for people after properties have sold, but I can also do that before properties are sold, just to kind of give you a history of what's going on, depending on how in-depth you want. We can go to the title company and get an abstract title, which last I looked, sometimes they charge a few $100s to get the real history of all of it. But you can try to get preliminary title work. You can, research liens on the property. You can, but the most important thing I think to me is the rumor mill and doing my own self-inspection. Because you hire an inspector, I've had inspectors put the wrong dates on water heaters, lie about things, just be lazy. And yeah, you want to get it because, if you end up in a lawsuit later, you want to be able to say, yeah, I got a home inspection. But that doesn't mean it's going to protect you. It's been 20 years. I've just seen that they'll take a whole attic full of, mouse droppings and just cover it with insulation, all right? Those toxins are still in there. The home inspector recommended this, okay? I've just had all kinds of bad experiences with home inspectors, and I don't necessarily believe that they're going to protect you. Now, an appraiser, they go with the MLS, and like in Montana, that information can be falsified easily too. And like when the banks was loaning all this money, it's pretty easy, like for a developer to sell a couple of properties in his own development or buy properties and then they sell and then they're in the MLS and they drive the value up falsely because they're, say, 3-bedroom, 2-bath on 5 acres. So they go by the square footage and the acreage, at least in my experience of where I've been. And so then this can be used as a comp and then they build a subdivision and then they can get loans and stuff based on these prices, even if they're just an illusion. So in order for the real estate consumer to be protected in the long run, instead of just the excitement of, ooh, we're buying a home, or no money down, or, looking at your closing statement, looking at your mortgage, looking actually at the property, doing forensics real estate, doing real estate investigations, looking at your contracts, whether or not you have a real estate agent or not, you have a right to a third party looking at it that you're paying an hourly wage. So you're paying me as an experienced broker to check over your information or do any of these things I've just named, and not based on whether or not you buy the property. So my opinion, based on my experience, is not jaded because I get paid either way. Okay? If I only get paid if I convince you that the property is good, how in the world is that consumer friendly? It isn't, okay? All right, you can email me, Crystal, at crystalcox.com, or savvybroker, SAVVBROKER, at yahoo.com. And I am offering real estate consultant services. I am licensed now only in Washington. However, real estate coaches oftentimes aren't even licensed at all, and they give advice all over the United States. So, if you would like real estate advice, email me. I'm going to be setting up a way to pay online, but for now, I'm also looking for, local clients. And of course, your agent will tell you that it's not legal, but you'll have to have them show you the actual codes and laws that say that you cannot pay an experienced real estate broker owner to be your real estate broker consultant on the deal. I mean, there is no law that says that you cannot have that. There's, I think, I don't remember even where it is now, but there is a National Association of Realtors code of ethics that says that you can't interfere. So, but basically that should be antitrust violation. That's anti-consumer. That's just horrible to say that you can't have someone come in unless you can only have these two people that want the deal to close. Okay? So they're talking on the phone, and I'm not saying that all realtors do this, but this has been my experience. I'm talking on the phone, what are we going to do? Okay, the appraiser, what's it going to take to close the deal? The home inspector, what's it going to take to close the deal? The two agent, what's it going to take to close the deal? You got a real estate consultant that comes in and says, I don't give a rat's patootie whether the deal closes or not. Here's the facts. Now, if that fact, best of I know to my opinion and my life experience and what I researched, if that fact leads you to buy the property, okay. If that fact leads you to not buy the property, okay. Either way, I get paid. All right, so I'm going to give you good, honest, pure advice. All right, folks, again, email me, crystal@crystalcox.com or savvybroker@yahoo.com. My name is Crystal L. Cox. I'm a real estate broker owner in the state of Washington, and my company name is Goddess Realty. Hope you all have a great day.